Hello. Hello. Live. Live here? Live here. I'm trying to look at the right camera. I think. Are we live? Tell me if we're live. I'm going to get this technology one day. I don't know whether I'll be still alive. But we'll see. It's weird. Okay, Stuart is watching, so there must be something coming through. We'll see how that goes. So Stuart, tell me, make a comment if the video looks okay. As Cody here. Okay, Cody, send request. So I'm sending request to add Cody to the video. Let's see if we go. Let's see how this goes. The stress. Oh, there you go. Man.
Is that the right way?
Yeah, horizontal. I think it has to be horizontal, landscape.
That's horizontal. Does it want to?
Hang on, just let it. So was that vertical?
Vertical.
Yeah, that's no good. Do it back. That's it. That looks good now.
Weird, but I'm sideways. That's fine.
Oh, okay. Hey, look.
Oh, maybe there's a.
We got matching shirts.
Nice.
Matching
That's
shirts. Damn, look at that. Like, woohoo. Well, it seemed, I don't know if you noticed, but I was actually wearing this t-shirt last video. So
Definitely, I noticed.
yeah, so it's sort of, I thought it would be appropriate that I'd wear my UDW t-shirt for.
You don't wear it every day?
Well, I've only got like 5 of them. So yeah. So sometimes they're in the wash. So great to see you. Like, what's behind you? Is this the project truck or is this the one that?
Yeah, the Scout.
Yeah, the Scout. So aren't you, like, you put a different engine in it or something?
But it's been in the shop since January.
Okay.
The engine itself, and he just hasn't gotten to it, so it's kind of a headache.
Ah, okay.
And
so it's not running at the moment.
No. It's depressing that it's here every day.
Well,
it's mocking me.
Yeah, you have to look at it and you're going like, geez, it'd be really nice if I could drive that. Like, still though, you'll get a lot of Instagram videos out of it, you know. Like,
yeah,
right. My Instagram feed is full of very few spinning tops, almost none, but lots of cars. Like I love the algorithm. These algorithms, they just feed you things like, you know, you click on something because it looks interesting, and all of a sudden for the next like 10 days, all you get is videos on that topic. And I'm going like, really? I just was interested in it like for the 1 minute that I clicked on it. It wasn't like, this is not my life, please. But
you don't even have to click anymore. Just leave it on the screen. Just look at it.
Yeah. So, oh shit. I can hear you through the thing, but I noticed that you've got your earphones in. So thanks for. Is my microphone working okay?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, good. Well, so let's. I know you're a busy man, so I'll try and maximize, because I do have a lot of questions for you.
Oh man.
And so to everybody who's watching this either live or subsequently. Dr. Phil here, Cody Mayfield there, Mr. UDW, like just original gangster. I've got to call you an OG because, you know, in my research I know people don't think that I do it, but being an academic, I always do research. And so in preparation for this, I was looking back at some of the history of spinning tops that I was able to get out of Pocket Top Talk. And there was this really interesting post that you made. Let me see if I can find it.
You've got receipts. I think that's what it's called, right?
Sorry?
You've got the receipts?
No, no. There was a post that you made in like September of 2013. Somewhere I found it on in the history archives, and it told the story. This post was quite long, and it told the story of how you got into tops. And it had a photo of the first 5 spinning tops that you made. And there was this story about you having this borrowed lathe,
Yeah.
June of 2013, and you decided to make a spinning top, and it had a brass point and didn't spin so well, so you bought some tungsten carbide bearings and all this stuff. So for the people who don't know this history, can you give us a little potted history of how that went and how you started?
So, medium length. My mom bought a house that was owned by my babysitter when I was young, and her husband was a gunsmith, and so there was an entire gunsmith shop in the basement, and they needed to get rid of it all, and so there was a mill and multiple lathes. And my stepfather is a wood turner, and he wanted a metal lathe because he was going to use it to make tools for turning, like
Okay.
cutting tools or something like that. And so he got that, and I got a mill that I never really used. And he just stuck the metal lathe on a shelf. And I,
Oh,
and so I had a weird job. I was surveying tide, and no one makes parts for tide gauges.
so
And
hang on. You're a hydrologist by training?
uh,
Oh, hang on. We've got a glitch with the video for some reason. Oh, there we go. We're fine now. You're back live. No, it just went out again, like it got frozen again. This is my symbol for frozen. There we go. Back live. Can't hear. It says,
was that
there we go. There we go. Yeah,
awesome?
good. Sorry.
So yeah, he actually owned the hydrographic survey company, my stepfather,
Ah,
and they
okay,
brought me
okay.
on to do like manual labor, and I stuck. I just read all the manuals, learned how to
Oh,
do
how
it,
awesome.
and I eventually bought him out when he retired.
Gotcha. Okay, so
And so
because
that's
by
how
the
I,
time I met you, you were like a fully fledged hydrologist guy, and you were like always going on projects and
yeah,
doing you like going places, and every now and then you'd fit in time to make a spinning top. Like,
yeah, it was 6 months a year travel,
oh
up to
wow,
3 months at a time. Yeah, it was crazy. But so no one makes parts for the gauges because no
gotcha.
one actually does it, and so I needed to make a complex set of tubes. And I thought, well, he has this metal lathe. I'm gonna just use it and do it myself.
Gotcha.
And I'd never done anything on a lathe, so I decided I had some brass that I picked up somewhere, and I thought, well, a top will spin, and I'll know that I cut true somehow.
Ah, yeah.
And so I taught myself to use a lathe by making a top.
So hang on, like this is an awesome story, just because a lot of it reflects my interest in that. I bought a metal lathe because I was a wood turner and I'd never turned before, and I used brass. So all of those things that you've just said really ring true for me. But what like did you know any like what why not make a plumb bob? Like, I mean, why a spinning top? Like, was there something special about that, or did it just come into your head?
No, I didn't really understand how lathes worked at all, so I figured if it would spin and not wobble too much,
Ah,
then whatever I cut was true.
gotcha, gotcha.
Just as like
Okay.
a test, an objective test that the part was right.
Did you have any example of a spinning top? Like, I mean,
No.
so you just like envisioned, like you pictured a spinning top in your head, like,
I think it's in here. That's somewhere around here. It is. Yeah. So I just
oh, was that it? Like, that's number one.
yep. number
Yeah,
one.
there it
I
is.
don't even know
Yeah,
where the camera is,
yeah.
but
We got it. I've seen a photo of that top. Like, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, and there was all of Everyday Carry was on Facebook in one group at the time, and so I posted a picture just because it was interesting and metal, and it kind of fit the group's theme.
So sorry to interrupt you again, but this is another question I had of you, and you've already got there. So you were an EDC person at the time. Like, I mean, you were into EDC.
Yeah, forever since like first grade.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it was all on forums, like Blade forums,
Yeah.
Candle Power forums, and then because you'd have to upload photos to like a third party and then
Yes.
upload to the forum, so there was multiple steps just to share a picture. And Facebook came along, and by 2012, maybe a little earlier, it all kind of started shifting away from the forums.
Yes.
But there was no
I
groups yet.
Yeah, I started into bicycles and I was on forums, same problem as you had just said. And then Facebook to some extent revolutionized all of this. Like, I didn't get into Facebook because of bicycles, I got into Facebook because of spinning tops. But I completely understand how a group like EDC would have migrated to Facebook because of the ease of sharing images.
Yeah, and it was there was no groups. There was like a couple of groups, but no makers had groups yet because it was
Gotcha.
so fresh. And so Pocket Top Tool or Pocket, yeah, no Toolbook, the Outwood Toolbook or something. No,
Well,
no,
see, Pocket
I'm all
Top
messed up.
Talk didn't
Yeah,
start until 2015. So
yeah, no 13, but yeah, the what was it called? The Outwood Toolbook. That's the name of the group.
actually, sorry, I have a post from Pocket Top Talk. You're right. It started, Pocket Top Talk started in September, like Jeff Goad started it in
Yeah,
September of 2013.
yeah,
So he was an EDC guy.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But so you started with EDC on like using Facebook for EDC, but then posted this spinning top. Was there any interest in the spinning top once you
yeah, that's
posted?
how it started. Is I put one picture up and there was 50 comments or however many comments. It was a lot. I'll buy it. I'll give you
Oh,
$50 right now.
really?
And so like I went back downstairs and made four more tops, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. The tips to form. So I had
Yeah.
to get bearings, and
So
then
so did was there a were you aware at the time, like August of 2013, July of 2013, were you aware of other people who were making spinning tops?
um, I found out a couple knife makers like 6 months or so later. Like some custom knife makers had made tops for their kids and posted some pictures that I
Got you.
might have seen around then, but it was very limited.
Because I got a list. So in 2015, Pocket Top Talk had a 1,000 member giveaway. So August 2015, which is like basically 2 years after you started making tops, Pocket Top Talk had 1,000 members, and they had a giveaway where 15 makers promised to make a top to give away to members. And here's the list of those 15 makers, and I'm gonna see how many of these people, one, you remember, and two, who are still making tops. So
Yeah, right.
it starts with Ray Diaz,
Yeah.
Joshua Dawson, Jared Shonley, Cody Mayfield, you, Chris Dean, Chris Peterson, Mitch Lum, Tim Lawson, Jesse Fisher, John D apostrophe OH, Matt Blackie, Blake San, Jonathan Collier, Mark Dalpay, and Brian Flood. They were the 15 makers who gave away tops in the middle of 2015. I'm pretty sure that I have tops from every one of those people except 3 who I don't recognize. And that's Jesse Fisher, John DeOpp, and I don't know if that's just a pseudonym, and Mark Dalpay. Do those names all ring a bell for you?
Mark definitely, and Fisher slightly. The other one I don't know at all, though. I don't remember.
And
But there was so many makers by then.
yeah, well, that's the problem. Like, I mean, if you think about it, there was like who was it? The old school guy. Steve Robbins.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Steve Robbins said he was making tops by the end of 2013. He was
that sounds
not on
right.
that list of 15. Sorry?
That sounds right. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
early.
Yeah, he was very early. And but the interesting thing is that out of that list of 15 of the 12 that I remember, I think apart from Chris Peterson, who drops the occasional spinning top nowadays, I think actually you're the only one still making tops on
Dawson's still
a
making stuff.
regular
Yeah,
basis. Yeah,
maker still at least. But
yeah. I mean, I mean, Joshua Dawson made lots of wonderful tops, and now he makes incredible flashlights, you know, like, and with Mitch Lum, who is also in the flashlight business. And yeah, I'm sure like some of those people might be doing other things, and they might still be very much in the EDC world. But it's interesting to me how EDC and people like Steve Robbins, I mean, like he, to this day, will always make a post saying, I mean, it's all about everyday carry. Like, stop making fucking spinning tops, Phil, that you have to put on a shelf and you can never carry with you. You know, he always made spinning tops that you can carry. And I mean, your tops are still small enough that you can carry them. But I don't think I've ever made a top that you can carry.
yeah,
They're all a little too fragile, too big. But did you think that spinning tops sort of fitted into that EDC world that you were in at the time?
that's interesting. The at the same time, maybe like months, maybe a year before that, Scott was making fidget spinners. That's where they started, is
Ah,
in that group.
yes.
So the group was the Atwood Toolbook, and he made bottle openers, and he would machine holes in them, or he would have cutouts for like a 1/4 inch drive drill bit type things.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
so he'd put a bearing in those, and you could spin your bottle opener
Ah,
as the first fidget spinner. And he's the guy that actually got both patents on the torque bar fidget
gotcha.
spinner.
Yes, yes. And
So
that
he's
was
like
like,
the official.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
like the original, truly the original fidget spinner. What amazes me is the story that I always tell to people is that around about 2017, 2018, Facebook had got to the point where you could do a lot of statistical analysis of Facebook, number of hits, popularity of topics, and all these things. And if you looked at, say, Pocket Top Talk, the number of members and the number of hits, and if you looked at like the leading fidget spinner group on Facebook, they almost tracked each other perfectly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you bring up the historical fact that fidget spinners came out of EDC, and then EDC sort of generated through you spinning tops, and then spinning tops became like a completely separate thing. And I always make the distinction, because spinning tops have been around since, like, they found a spinning top in Tutankhamun's, you
Yeah.
know, pyramid. So I mean, like they've been around since like 4000 BC or whatever. Like they've been around forever, and they've been childhood toys forever. But people like you and me, and I'll include me because I have made a couple of metal spinning tops. I call them precision metal finger spun tops because they're precision, clearly. They're meant to be spun by fingers, not by strings or anything like that. And they're made of metal. And so, to me, what you did and what you sort of contributed to the emergence of was this entire sub-genre that we now call spinning tops, but really, one of my guests coming up is going to be Kip Clark from Utah, who collects thousands of spinning tops. And I think out of the thousands that he probably has a handful of precision metal spinning tops. You know what I mean? Like he has all these other things which are spinning tops, but not what we think of spinning tops. So once you made these spinning tops and these guys bought them from you, did you think that this was a real item? Like, was it a real thing?
Not for a while. It was just fun, just trying to figure out how to get it to work. But then, like within months, there was multiple makers. The group started, and then the secondary kicked off, which was like EDC driven. They're all kind of speculators, and I'm going to buy this and sell it high,
Oh,
limited
really?
items. Almost at the same time, handkerchiefs were popular. You would buy a $40
Ah,
handkerchief that was limited and sell it for $300,
I
or a ten
remember
dollar
those. Yes,
patch. Yeah,
yes, yes. Yeah, there was patches, handkerchiefs.
like
But
yeah,
so that's a different thing than, say, flashlights and knives. I mean, those things are somewhat practical. I mean,
yeah,
like, yeah, okay, I've got a
yeah.
$5,000 Timascus flashlight, but you can still see in the dark with it. Whereas, like a patch that you buy for $50 in the hope that you can waffle it for $100 is a completely different thing. Did spinning tops fall into that category?
Um, I think most of the people buying them when the secondary was hot were just buying them to flip.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Like that's what my 300 person sign up sales were mostly people like check it out, see it, and then sell it for more
gotcha. And
because it's oh,
sorry,
it's sort of like knives, custom knives. Like you don't get to see them unless you go to a show, so you have to buy one, get it, look at it, and like, wow, I'm never going to carry this, but I can still sell it for a profit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting because like nowadays, for example, people buy Bitcoin for $60,000, hoping that they'll sell it for $100,000. Like I
Yeah,
mean,
and who knew
like
they were right?
yeah, well, they happen to be right, and you and I were wrong. But yeah, like I always thought that they were worth about $2, but $120,000 is what a Bitcoin's worth now. And so, I mean, I used to teach personal investing at the university, and so I'm sort of very familiar with financial assets and speculative markets and all those things, buying low, selling high, auctions, etc. So, I mean, all of that stuff isn't unfamiliar to me. At the same time, I personally never thought of flipping a spinning top. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and yet by the time I got into it, which was early 2017, so it had been going for 3.5 years since you started, and like Rich Studler didn't start billet spin until 2015, and so like the big billet spin driven craze of spinning tops was 2 years after you, and a year and a half before me starting to collect. But by then, what you were talking about had clearly taken off. Like, I mean, people were clearly buying UDW tops for $120 to sell for $200 or $300
Yeah, more.
or more. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Did you ever anticipate that?
No, Like,
I mean, that was
yeah,
not a motivation for you to make them.
a little bit. It was cool that you could sell something that like the buyer had confidence in.
Yeah,
Like, but I like everyone I knew was like, you should charge $500 for a top if people are selling them for 1,000. Like, but then we end up now where I'd have to like drop my price weekly until someone would buy it,
yeah.
and so just never interested in that part.
But so one of the things that I learned from you years ago was that, like, without giving away secrets, you have a formula for calculating the price of your tops. Like
Yeah, I
you,
stole it off of Etsy, like a Etsy chat group for people that make stuff. Came up with a formula,
yeah, I mean, and
and
it's
it,
to do
it
with
kind of
cost of
works.
materials and time and all these effort. So, I mean, but as an economist, I can also understand that the price or the value of something is determined by the intersection of supply and demand.
Yes.
So for example, you can make a spinning top like the 52 that I have up here that you've made. Thank you. The biggest top in my collection, the biggest maker represented in my 900 top collection is Cody's. I've
Wow.
got 53 UDWs. You calculated the price of them and you put them up on a sus, and I've paid nearly all of them. I've tried to get originally, and so I paid 125, 180, maybe 230 for a really fancy UDW. But the market in like 2016, 2017 said that that was worth $500. So my question to you is, were you ever tempted to listen to those people who said you should be selling your tops
No,
for
I, w-
$500?
I was offered $3,000 for two tops weekly.
Really?
Yeah, make me the top I want. I'll send you $1,500. I'll give you this $3,000 knife for two tops. Like, it was just constant, and I was like, no, I have to keep the sign up sale pure. I can't like have a workaround for anyone because it kind of just undermines the whole thing in my mind anyway.
Yeah. So to you, it was a principle. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
as in you were charging a fair price for the materials and the labor and the depreciation on your machinery. And irrespective of what the market thought your tops were worth, you insisted on maintaining a fair price.
Yeah, because the I'd been in EDC since like online since like 2007 or 8, right around there. And these kind of peaks, these bubbles were constant. It'd be either one maker or one item like handkerchiefs or just a hot maker, and the bubbles would burst instantly.
Yeah.
And so the maker would be sitting there with these knives that he thought were worth a ridiculous amount, and they just weren't. And chasing the secondary was just the death knell for any maker in the
Gotcha.
knife world. So I was just like, not going to do it, not going to chase it.
Another principle that I've always admired in you and a number of makers back in the early days, and I'll consider my early 2017 still early days relatively, because that's still now 8 years ago. But one of the principles that you've always stuck with is that you never took custom orders. So what
Oh,
was behind
that's,
that?
I did.
Oh, you
Like,
did?
I was bored on a Saturday and I started a list. I said, write your name down or email me. I forget how I did it, but for the next 2 hours, anyone that sends me a message gets on the list.
Really?
And that list was 60 people, and it
Wow.
took 3 years to get through.
Oh
Every
my
top had
gosh.
175 emails back and forth
That's
to get one top
unbelievable.
made. Every new material I put on the site, because things were growing then so
Yeah.
fast, I'd get a new material in, every order would change.
Ah.
And then I'd do a new, like slightly change the design, every order would change.
Oh my God.
It was a headache. It was so
Oh.
miserable.
Yeah.
And then there
Yeah.
was also like just the learning curve, like, heat expansion with hafnium and use these exotic materials that are hard to get. and they'd end up with a failure rate of like 75%.
Yeah.
So I was
So
making like 8 or 9
you,
tops to get one done.
yeah, yeah, yeah. At the worst, you'd make 4 tops just to get one done at that rate. Like, I mean, that's just crazy. So even though you started off with a custom list, once you got through that, you're going like never again.
Never again. And even later, when I would take like sign up sales where you can name your own top,
Ah, yes, yeah,
whenever someone gives me like a spec sheet of what I have to make, it goes wrong.
yeah,
Like I'll miss every cut and it just doesn't work, and you can't change it because it's a custom order. So I'd have to either start over or change it to like a regular sign up sale top and then start
yeah.
over on theirs to get their material combination all lined
It,
up.
it's so funny because when I started I made spin stations. I didn't make tops initially. I made spin stations because that was the obvious thing for a woodworker to do. I mean, like
Yeah.
George Sherwood was making spin stations out of wood. I was a woodworker. I never used a lathe before, but I was a woodworker. So I'm thinking like, yeah, I'll make spin stations. And I just made spin stations that I liked. And I started taking orders for spin stations, which is nowhere near as complicated as a spinning top. And I couldn't understand why you guys wouldn't take custom orders because I was a collector and I wanted special tops, So, I mean, the collector in me said, oh, I want these makers to make spinning tops for me, but they don't. And I couldn't understand it. And very quickly, even making spin stations, people would say, well, I want it like that one, but I want it a little bit different. And I want dark wood and I want lots of grain and I want some burl. And, could you make the lip this big? And all of a sudden I'm going like, this is a fucking spin station. Like, I mean, this is not a complicated, it's a dog bowl, with a piece of glass inside it. And yet and all of a sudden, well, like after the third custom order, I'm going like, now I understand why these guys don't do it. Like, and after that, I started making spinning tops. And I, like you guys, have never taken a custom order for a spin top because I knew that this was just going to be a nightmare from day one. Like,
Yeah. Every time I do it, it just reaffirms why I don't. It's 10 pieces, 10 exotic materials, like, you know, yeah, it's ridiculous.
well,
And the failure rate's so high.
and you can imagine, like, I found, I mean, I've made like a half a dozen all metal spinning tops, and I use bronze and aluminum and brass and copper. I don't use fancy materials like you've used, and you've raised the issue of hafnium and there's zirconium and all these things that have some physical properties that cause problems, and tungsten, for example. But you can imagine that using wood, and I have in my inventory, I have 127 different varieties of wood, and they're all different, and they're all not at all like metal. And so the problem with a custom top is that it has to be as good as you can make it, and the person ordering it is expecting a perfect item. And so the reason why I quickly realized that custom wooden tops was a shit idea was because I was never going to make anything that was good enough for a custom order. At least I thought. I mean, it was like, if I can make a top for myself to sell and it works out perfect, I celebrate. Like, I'm going like, wow, damn, that thing's spun really well. I made a top just recently and I gave it to Andrea, and she posted a video of it and it was literally perfect. Like, it was like a UDW top. Like, it spun perfectly. And I was going like, well, that was a miracle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it was truly a miracle. So the other question I have for you about some of the things that I noticed in you as a maker when I became a maker and such a long-standing person was you have always stuck with sign-up sales. And yet, when I started after about a year or two of collecting tops, I started collecting glass marbles, and they're nearly exclusively sold by auction, not by sign-up sales. Spinning tops is one of the few items that to this day is dominated by sign-up sales. So why did you choose sign-up sales, and why have you stuck with them?
Um, Auctions just felt weird. They still feel weird. I don't do them enough. Like, I know it sets the market price, but the same people were always going to have the bigger wallet.
Yeah,
So it'd be like, yeah, uh, just not the biggest fan. And then like making something good enough in my mind to auction off is rough because I wouldn't auction my regular sign up sale tops. I'd like keep finding something wrong and they just never get off the lathe. And sign up sales were common in the EDC and it was fair.
gotcha.
And the when I tried to sell direct, it was people were writing scripts and so they'd get a ping as soon as I changed anything
Ah, yeah,
in the
yeah.
group. So the same people were winning every first come first serve sale.
Yes,
So I
yeah.
just had to do signups. Like they
So
get the
that group, that signupsale.com, was that started by EDC?
yeah. Before they took it down the other day, the like almost all of the other sellers on it were knife makers and some
Gotcha.
flashlight makers.
Yeah.
But
Because
my
back
first
at
sign up
back
sales were. Oh, go ahead.
no, no, back in the early days, like when I first started getting UDW sign-up sales on signupsale.com, there was quite a lot of tops. I mean, tops almost dominated sign-up sales for a while there, for a couple of years. But yes, lately, I mean, like the last couple that I've seen, you've been relatively small compared to the other users of the website.
Yeah. And the before that, the site it was just enter in on the Facebooks, and there was a parser that a guy was running, and you could just copy paste all the comments, put it into the parser website, and it would pull the names and numbers. So it
Oh,
was really
really?
easy to import into random.org. But every Facebook update would change where the commas were in the
Ah,
script, like when he exported it. So he had a headache keeping up with it, and it eventually just went away.
yeah,
And
like
that's when Lori started the website signupsale.com.
got you. And so, what's happened recently that you had to change the way that you're offering tops now? I mean, like this last month or so.
Lori Knight passed away not too
Ah,
long ago, and he ran the sign up sale site.
yep,
So, and then figuring out some way to track IPs was tricky
got you.
because,
So
yeah,
it was just easier to let this website die. Like,
yeah, I didn't want to run it
yeah, yeah, yeah,
or buy it or deal with it
got you.
because it was always kind of kludgy and, yeah, rough.
Yeah,
And
and
then,
so
yeah, lots of the stuff didn't work on it.
I actually just 2 days ago, I think I entered one of your sign up sales with the new Google thing. So how is that? I didn't get an email from you, so I obviously didn't win it. So
Yeah.
how's it going?
Good. I like it better than the other options. The anything built for like lottery style is like more gambling based, which has all
Ah,
kinds of laws, and so websites don't touch it.
gotcha,
And then I don't want to get my Shopify closed down for trying to sell stuff through the blog feature. So
gotcha.
I'd have to get like sales through the sales that have to go through the site to run
Yes,
them in the blog like I tried. And that's just a pain.
yeah,
Because like I could put it up for sale and then the winner would have to buy it instantly or like buy a widget to lock the
yeah,
price.
gotcha, gotcha, yeah,
And I like the Google Doc so far, that it's all in house, that I'm not giving away people's email addresses.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like you own the Google Doc
Yep.
aspect of it. So I mean, even though we know that Google is stealing all of our information, I mean, that's sort of in the background and it's
They're
going to
stealing
happen
it
anyway.
twice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I always used to say to people, that, if you think you have privacy, you're fooling yourself. Like, we lost our privacy decades ago,
Yeah.
and so, people would always say, like, don't you worry about Facebook and Instagram and all these other social media you're on. I'm going, like, give me a break, I used to run my classes at the university on on my private website. I put all my lectures up on my private website, and they do their quizzes and submit things, and all the grades were there. And then one day I realized that the university had finally caught up with its systems, and that I didn't have to run all of that stuff on my personal website. And it probably wasn't a good idea anyway, given that, given that the university had all these rules about private information and federal laws and things. And I'm going, like, yeah, maybe I'll just convert it all back to the university. So the things
Someone could
we
have
do,
logged in and taken the classes for free.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, the things we do in our ignorance, yes. Actually, it works out that I don't think it's possible anymore, but at one time you could actually take my entire course from my website if you knew how to get there. Like, I mean, it wasn't password protected. Oh
Right.
well. So
Yeah, I watched some of those and with my headphones on while I'm making stuff. Yeah, like I think Cornell has a bunch of good professors, but
yeah,
then you
well,
like,
there was actually a time I even got to go to England on for a conference on this. There was I don't know if you ever heard about it, but they were called MOOCs, MOOCs, and they were massive online open courses, MOOC, and like Stanford and Cornell and Harvard and MIT and all these universities thought it was the new wave of education, where basically you could get a Harvard education for free if you took these online courses. It worked out. It didn't pan out. So, but it's interesting how what you were talking about still exists, and that there are some ways of actually listening to, like, Nobel Prize winning lecturers giving lectures about something that you might be interested in for free online, which I think is probably what we all thought the internet was for originally, but it sort of got messed up somewhere along the line. So I wanted just another question about the sign-up sales. So I've always used sign-up sales. I personally, I think I sold one top. I've out of the 750 tops that I've sold or given away, I've sold one top by auction. And I fucking got embarrassed by how much these people were willing to pay for my spinning top. I'm going, like, I'm never going to do that again. So when I started using sign-up sales, there was this idea. I mean, and Rich Stodler was big on this. He would say, like, it's fair. Like, there's this fairness component to sign-up sale, because it's essentially a raffle where you don't have to buy the ticket. You just are making a pledge to buy if you win. So, I mean, in that sense, there's a commitment that you're making, which I think is a reasonable commitment. I've got a 1 in 30 or a 1 in 300 chance of winning this spinning top. And if I win, I'll pay the $50 or the $500 or whatever it is for the top. Like, that's great. I understand that part about it. But from the makers, the sellers' point of view, it seemed to me that everybody had the same chance of winning. Like, I mean, if there was 50 people in the sign-up sale, then you had a 1 in 50 chance. It didn't matter whether you were rich or poor or lived in Ireland or in Italy or North Carolina or Alaska. I mean, it didn't matter where you were, who you were, you had the same chance as anybody else to win the title. So was the fairness basis something important to you?
Yeah, that was like number one because of the script thing. Because the going back to the toolbook group, he would sell his bottle openers from a blog and he'd have a purchase link. And so whenever his blog refreshed, the link would pop up. And so you'd have to click it like the first however many he made, 50, 60, 100 bottle openers. And so like people would write scripts to ping his site. And so they'd get a notification whenever his site refreshed. And they were just doing the same thing with the group,
Gotcha.
like my Facebook group.
Yeah.
And so the same people were winning, like just a couple in a row was enough. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's too, they're just always going to win. And then it's basically like having a dealer,
Yeah.
resell all my stuff.
You could see that pretty quickly that was what was going to happen.
And then even, I think there's some scripts running on my regular website because people get, like, they know instantly. Whenever I make a change, I see my traffic uptick.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm familiar with those scripts. Like you can, as somebody who wants to know whether you've changed your website, it's actually relatively easy to find and subscribe to services that will tell me that Cody just changed his website, and so I should go there and see if it's a spinning top that he's just offered. Yeah. So I have personal familiarity with those types of things, and so I know how, that's probably something that you didn't want. I mean, I think that for me, I have about probably like 300 people who have bought my tops. Like you probably have maybe 1,000 people who've bought your tops over the years. How many tops have you made so far?
Up to 2,048.
That's right. I thought that you must be close to 2,000 because I remember when this was a couple of years ago. No, it was Steve Robbins who declared that he just sold his 2,000th top, and that was some like 3 or 4 years ago. And Chase Lindley of Plier, I remember when he declared, I think that he'd sold like 2,500 tops. So you getting to 2,000 is pretty damn impressive. Because don't you give away every 100th top?
Yeah, that was. I had giveaway tops that'd be like number 57 or whatever, and it would be sold for 10 times what the retail would have been. And so I made it to even hundreds so everyone would know that was a giveaway top. So if they overpaid for it, it's on them.
Yeah. Like there was no way they could get confused as to what the person paid for this top.
It was funny. All of the early giveaways, I'd have to reprint the card because that would never make it to the buyer because it would say giveaway on it on the card. And so I was reprinting all the giveaway cards.
Exactly. Like you're going like, damn, this person bought the top without a card because it got lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I actually do write giveaway on my cards. The good thing is, you see, the one problem that you have that I've never experienced is that nobody has ever tried to resell one of my tops.
You remember, and there's a line in the sign-up sale, or there was, that it has to ship to the buyer because I was having to ship it to the second buyer or the third buyer.
Oh, really?
And so I was shipping a top that someone had paid, $1,000 for that I had just sold for 150.
What? Like they wouldn't even take delivery of it?
Yeah.
Oh,
they were getting messages. There's people that would message the winners. I'll give you $500 for that top right now.
And then you would get the redirect email. Yeah. Oh my God. That's insane.
And I didn't want the responsibility for the cost of that top moving. And if it gets lost in shipping, is it on me? Is it on the
exactly?
Second seller?
And yeah,
you're
you're into it for $120. Like, I mean, not
Yeah.
$1,000. Like, yeah. No,
I think
I can understand that responsibility aspect really highly. Like,
one time it was a while ago, it was like when things were pretty hot. The my PayPal pings, I look at it and someone sent me $1,500 and someone had sold a top on the secondary for so much they felt bad and they sent me half of the profit.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Well,
That's,
I mean, like, in some respects, like when I started collecting tops by the middle of 2017, UDW tops were like clearly a premium top. I mean, because unlike, yeah, billet spin tops were fancy, they were beautifully made, they were very complicated, they were pretty, they spun really well, and they were limited in the sense that Rich would say, like, I've only got Damascus for 50 tops, so I'm just going to make 50 of these tops. So clearly you knew they were limited, but each one of them looked identical. I mean, like, there were 50 Damascus tops, like all the Nexus tops that he made out of tungsten all looked identical because they were all made with the same program on the same CNC machine. But there was only 100 of them or whatever. So you could understand that. But your tops, as an example of handmade one-off tops, I mean, like, they were one-off in that other than your Joshua Dawson collaboration, every one of your tops is different. Like, and so you can understand why people were going like, well, these are really well-made tops. They're pretty, they're aesthetically appealing. I can see why there was such a demand for them. And back in those days, when I would sign up for one of your sign-up sales, there were 300 people signing up for it. It was insane to think that there were 300 people willing to pay $200, which is $60,000. Yeah, $60,000 for one top. Like, you go like, that's crazy. But I mean, and I think the first couple of UDW tops I got were on the secondary market because that's how you could add a UDW top. But times have changed, haven't they? Like, I don't think the bubble burst as much as the air just went out of it sort of really slowly because, I was talking to Jesse Lopez last week, and as a collector, he started in December of 2018, so he sort of missed out on a lot of the peak, but still he was paying a lot of money, and there was still lots of auctions, and Bill Bader was on paying thousands of dollars for tops, for DITs and UDWs and things like that. But nowadays, I count approximately, and this very roughly, I think there's about 30 people making tops these days. So what's your assessment of the current situation?
parts are nice, like as far as being experimental, um, because I don't have to worry about that second owner that's overpaying for a top, and so I feel a little better. But the popularity was cool, but I knew a lot of it was, speculation, was flippers or people investment type things,
Yeah,
or and then the EDC crowd just leaving for the next big hot thing,
yeah.
which is fine.
No, that's human nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
The hmm.
I just don't. I don't think that there's lots of people who really. There's probably a couple of thousand people in the world who really enjoy spinning tops. Let's be honest. I mean, everybody else gets excited or interested, but it's a passing interest or a passing fad.
Yeah. And last week, I think you were talking about like social media output from makers, and I need to do better, but like everyone for so long was so scared of posting their UDWs because they'd just get offers.
Yeah.
So, but that hasn't gone away with the secondary, so it's kind of weird. People should post more, spread
Well,
the love.
well, it's interesting. Like, I mean, one of the reasons why I found your group particularly interesting is, and maybe it's because I make spinning tops too, but I mean, you are very good at posting works in progress. Like, I mean, you share with us, the collector, how you make the tops. Like, and Gavin did this with, he would have videos of him making a top on the lathe and all those things. Like, back in when there were more makers, there was more opportunity to there was enough, even though there were relatively few of you, there was enough of you interested in sort of sharing the process. And people could see like where their spinning top came from, which I think is very interesting. And you've maintained that. But it's interesting that you say that now with sort of with a core of collectors and a much smaller group of makers and much sort of less ongoing interest, day-to-day interest, the pressure is off you. You can sort of focus on making the spinning tops that you want to make. And it seems to me, one of the questions that I have for you is that, have you always sort of made tops for yourself, even though you knew you were going to sell them?
I try and make something challenging and interesting, but like part of that gets weird going full time because it's so risky, because it's literally a job you don't get paid for if you fail.
Yeah.
So like you have this expensive material and you want it to work, but you work 2 days and you get nothing except for
Yeah.
scrap. So it's that part is rough going full time, not having the real job to pay for everything. But the and then having the market cool down, like I don't like putting up, a top that is going to be $300 or $400 is rough. I just don't feel right, even though it's like the fanciest materials.
Yeah.
But sometimes they get more entries into the sign up sales. But I don't think, yeah,
Well,
it's
I
interesting to
think,
think about.
I think that a lot of collectors understand now, certainly after all these years, like, 2013, so we're in year 12, after 12 years, the core of collectors, and by that I mean the couple of hundred people who really have, I mean, like very few people have 900 tops like I do, and Andrea does, and things like that. I mean, there's clearly some extremes, but there's still a lot of people who have 50 tops. A 50 top collection is not unreasonable, especially if you've been collecting for a number of years. And those people understand the materials that you use and how, I mean, nowadays, I mean, I look at some of I have a UDW from 2013, and it is fucking simple. Like, it's a really
Yeah.
simple top. It's like the top that you just showed. And it's got a bearing, which is cool, but it's very simple. It's one metal, one piece. Nowadays, I mean, you're making tops that have like 4 or 5 pieces, and they're all concentric, and they're less than a millimeter thick, and the tolerances are insane, and they glow in the dark, and they sparkle, and like they change your mind. At the same time, they spin perfectly. So you go like, this is not just aesthetically pleasing, it's actually physically and craft wise exceptional. So people understand that. And so I think that's why people can see that if you sold it or offered it for $300 or $400, there might be a lot of interest in it, because they appreciate how it's different than $150 one that you offered last week, but also different than all the other tops that makers are offering. But I mean, I guess back to my question, which you didn't really answer, which I still want to pursue, which is like, so I'll use me. Every top I make for me. But I know that I don't have any of my tops I don't collect my own tops. Like I collect everybody else's tops. I don't collect my own tops. I know I'm going to sell it or give it away. Like I'm in just 100%. But I make it for me. It's sort of that idea of the best Christmas present for your friend is to buy them what you would want. So how do you decide what to make tomorrow or today or yesterday?
It's a battle. Like I have a whole wall of stuff, and I just sit there and I'm like, well, that might look good with this. That might be interesting with this. Like right now, I'm trying to do a bunch of glow with zirconium. So like
Yeah,
figuring out how to put it together after flaming. Um, but it's more, yeah, just making something cool and something, because if it's not interesting, I get bored.
yeah.
Or if it's like something I've done a million times, then I have to put it down for a while and like try something different.
So that makes me ask you the question. So I've said this many times in public before that I think you've changed the design of your tops in the last,
Several times.
but in the last year, you've started making these thinner, taller steps. And that's to me obvious. But was that driven by a desire for you to improve the physics of your tops, or was it a desire to make something different?
It's sort of an evolution. The better CNC Neuralink tool. So knurls are easier to do, clean and longer, and it just looks awesome.
Yep,
Um, then switching when I got this bigger lathe, I think is a big factor. It's more rigid, and I was noticing my titanium was deflecting way more
yep,
than I thought on my smaller lathe. And so holding, let's say your stem is here and your body's here, like shaping it this way wasn't working
gotcha.
on this bigger lathe. So I had to switch it around so the body was here and the stem was here poking out. And it's really hard to cut that off the way that I hold the body of the top.
Yep,
So I'm holding the body here and I try and cut the end of the stem, and oftentimes it'll catch and fly off,
yeah.
and it's a pain. And so I just leave it long because I'm lazy.
No, but so that's really interesting because I also noticed how you've evolved. I mean, you've always been a big user of collet chucks as opposed to jaw chucks, which makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I've been making my wooden spinning tops in collet chucks for years also. I mean, like I moved to collet chucks very early on, but I noticed how more of your work in progress photos show the body of the top in the collet chuck with the stem sticking out. And I'm going like, clearly that's how you're getting these beautiful long stems with all that knurling. You can't really do it the other way because then the body is wobbling around with such thin stems. So yeah, there's like a technique and a physical reason for you to be able to do this. But
It takes a lot longer. It was by necessity that I had to start flipping it and holding the body. Like for years up until 2018, I was just holding the core
yeah,
stock, and then you knurl, and then you cut the stem off there. And so it always ends up a little shorter when you do it that way than you plan the
gotcha.
stem.
Yeah, yeah. And did you ever find when you were using that, I presume that, I mean, the body of so the mass of the top is sitting out, like it's the furthest away from the chuck that you can get. Like, I mean, it's the
Yep.
furthest part of the top away from. So did you ever notice that, like, were you worried about making the stem too thin that it would start wobbling?
It depends on what stage. Like at a certain point, it's fine. And then sometimes it wouldn't be, and you wouldn't really know until you cut it off. So you'd see like the body moving on like a copper core
Yeah,
and be like, it's okay, just
yeah,
let it go. We're gonna be okay. But then with titanium, it was every other shipment was like a different hardness almost.
yeah.
Like, and so it was like before I'd even got the stem down to final diameter, the body was off. So there's no
Yeah.
way that's gonna work.
So I noticed, like, for example, watching Gavin do his tops, he would never use a live center
Ooh, yeah.
in the bearing socket. He would drill the bearings, like he'd make the body, drill the bearing socket, and then cut the stem and the knurls, and he was done.
Yeah.
So have you ever used live centers, or you were always supported, self-supported?
Self-support. The problem is, I don't know if the lathe that's that perfect to run a live center on a top would have to be like recalibrated it for every single top, the tailstock and the chuck, because
Yeah.
they're always going to be slightly off. And so your top will be at an angle between the 2 points.
Yes.
And if it's more than half a thousandth, it's going to be the top won't spin. It'll
Yeah.
wobble.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, every one of my tops is made with a live center, but that's because wood just doesn't behave the same way as
Yeah.
metal. Like, I mean, I've been making these really tall, thin stem tops lately, and I got down to the last one was slightly less than an eighth of an inch over 3 inches, and I could feel as I pushed the gouge into the wood, I could feel the wood bending away from the gouge. Like, it was so thin and so flexible, you know. And I mean, it's a guarantee that the stem is going to wobble. I mean,
Yeah.
I can make a top, the body spins beautifully, but the stem wobbles, and it's just the way it's going to be. I mean, I'm pretty sure that even if you made that top out of metal, you'd have a similar problem.
Definitely. Like even
I
with
mean,
my stems, there's some deflection
yeah,
because it's held with Delrin to keep the body from getting
exactly.
scratched.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I, I, I stole that technique from you too.
Yeah.
I, I
Good.
use, I use Delrin in my collet chucks. Thank you.
Yeah. See, my chuck is adjustable, so you can zero it, but it's
Yeah,
never like good enough.
yeah.
Nothing ever is.
Well, I mean, and the thing is that, you know, I mean, there's always a tolerance smaller than the one that you're working to.
Yeah.
I mean, and at some point, you just sort of have to stop. I mean, like, you can't keep chasing. I mean, I am like, I don't use the same tolerances as you do, but I notice, for example, when I go to websites or I go to woodworker meetings, they look at me and they go like, "You've got to be joking." I mean, like, you're talking about a thousandth of an inch, and they go like,
That's so much.
we're measuring in sixteenths if we're lucky, you know, like, and when I make spin stations, those things are, I mean, if they end up round, it's a fucking miracle. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I guarantee you that by the time I ship it to Florida, where the humidity is 5 times more than it is in Albuquerque, that thing is a different shape. Like, you know, at least you metal guys don't have to worry too much about your metal changing too much with
We
humidity and
do.
temperature.
I DT won a top and I made a video for him and it spun perfectly smooth and I sent him the video. It's like it's smooth. It's smooth. Sent it to him. He gets it out of the package, spins it, wobbles.
Really?
Yeah. Thermal
Do you?
contraction. Something had happened in the freezing cargo hold that had
So,
separated the metals.
so you think it was like a temperature or humidity effect? Some
I think more
environmental
temperature,
temperature?
like it froze and like something
Yeah.
shifted. So
Because
he sent it back and I remade it.
and shipped it in a styrofoam container.
Little heat packs.
Yeah, yeah. This is somebody's heart. I'm gonna airlift it to Alaska, to Hawaii, from Alaska to Hawaii. Yeah, like, oh my gosh. Well, I don't know how we doing time wise. My phone doesn't tell me. How long have we been talking?
About an hour.
Okay. Well, that sounds about right. I don't want to. I promised you 45 minutes to go to an hour. So,
did you get to all your questions? I didn't.
Yeah, I actually we covered nearly every one of the questions. So, cool. I really appreciate. What a fantastic, and let's hope that when so you realize, well, you probably don't realize this, but my first video last week was me and Jesse and Anthony Lopez. And today with you, and all 5 of us are shaved heads.
Yeah.
So we'll see if this one turns out to be cone heads as well as the last
Just
one.
have to ship a bald cap.
Yeah, hopefully this one will work out. We'll see how it goes when I finish it and upload it. So thanks very much, Cody, for spending time with me and with the people who watched this video. It was fantastic.
Bye,
I
everyone.
really enjoyed it. Yeah. Thanks again. I'm sorry to people who were watching and made comments and asked questions. Literally on these cell phones, I can barely see Cody, let alone small text scrolling through my my screen. So I apologize for that. I'll try and go back once the video is uploaded and see if we can answer some questions. Thanks again, Cody. It was a real pleasure talking to you.
Thanks.
Take care. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.